All right, so these stories are good. I appreciate it. I love the come up. I love origin stories. It's the best ever. But what I missed here, I thought I was going to get it, but I'm happy. Well, now we can find out. When did that happen? When did the link
Yeah.
happen?
We love that question because it's completely random. So Joy and I weren't friends before we started the podcast, and it wasn't like, oh, who's the Joy?
Yeah.
But like we just didn't know each other
We
really.
just like passing ships in the night at the CrossFit gym.
Oh, that's
So we
awesome.
went to the same CrossFit gym, and at the time we both had fitness blogs because that's what you did.
Yes.
In 2012, you had a fitness blog, and one day, and like we every time we tell this story, we think I don't know why Joy had my number. Like that's how little we hung
Yeah.
out or knew each other. And so, but one day out of the blue, she texted me and said, "Hey, do you listen to podcasts?" And I was like, "No, I listen to Car Talk. Like, does that count?" And she was like, "No." Um, and she said, and I thought she was going to recommend one. So I said, "No. Like, why do you ask?" She's like, "Well, I think we should start a podcast. Like, there are no other female CrossFit podcasts out there. And I just think it'd be really fun." And so we just opened up a laptop on my futon in our guest room a couple weeks later and started doing it.
Yeah. So the name of the podcast, ladies, Girls Gone WOD podcast. Love that name. Love that name, girls. Congratulations. Way to win with the naming. I see that's branding. That's the shit. So Joy,
Thank you.
of course. So you contacted her. You guys started the podcasting, right? You guys are on 220. You guys are over
248.
247.
This will be, it's 248 this week, right?
247. Yeah.
Congratulations. My God.
Yeah.
My God.
It's
My God.
crazy.
Yes. So that's a lot of podcasting. It's a lot of CrossFit, right? And so I've listened to a few of them, okay? And you guys are really good. I enjoy the format of the podcasts, right? But my question is, it's strictly CrossFit, right? Do you guys do any personal stuff, or is it always strictly CrossFit?
It's almost never CrossFit anymore,
Yeah.
actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Isn't that funny?
I would say when we started, if you just kind of listen to a couple episodes here and there, and especially a lot of the interviews that we get are still with CrossFit athletes just because that's the community we're a part of. And so
Okay.
those are the connections that we have and because they're interesting folks to talk to. But for the most part, I mean, we will go weeks.
Can you hear JT snoring, by the way?
No.
Okay, good.
I wish I
He's
could.
so loud. Okay,
No.
Thanks
great.
for the heads up.
Pretty loud.
We over time have just evolved into talking more about just life in general and health in general and still the issues that come up for people and women in particular, but we also do have a lot of male listeners who just in the pursuit of a healthy lifestyle, there's so much crap that gets thrown at you and there's so much stuff that comes up emotionally and so we just talk about all that stuff.
Question for you, Joy. What would you say your personal goal is? Don't look at Claire. I want your specific personal goals.
She doesn't have to look at me.
Claire, help me. Yeah.
What's it called? When it comes to the podcasting, yes, I want to know that. But CrossFit in general, what are your goals in those two aspects?
Yeah. So I'll start with CrossFit. And with CrossFit, I think what I've evolved for my goal to be is to enjoy it. I started CrossFit with a pretty competitive edge. I'd never had the confidence to do any type of competitive sports growing up. I was always in like dance and like something where I could always hide and be in the background and not really be responsible for a point or losing a game. That was just too much pressure for me. So I never had that competitive bone inside of me, or at least I never was put into that situation. But people growing up would always tell me, are you a swimmer? Are you a volleyball player? Do you do sports? Because I just have an athletic build and I look like an athlete. And so when I started CrossFit, I was like, oh, now I get to like catch up to what my body was built to do. But it kind of turned into this competitive beating myself up, comparing myself to others. And so now I just really love doing it because it makes me feel good. And that is my goal, is to do it every day, to go, I really enjoy this, and to walk out of the gym feeling like I feel good, I feel energized, I feel like I connected with people. And I think that's kind of what Claire and I hope too, to put out to people who want to just be active, not necessarily CrossFit. But for me, that's kind of what the goal is now.
And then so with the with podcasting? Is there
And
a
with
specific goal?
Yeah, and Claire and I talk about, and we talked about this recently, and we talk about this often. And I think our goal from day one, and this really, we feel so lucky that we started when we did.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people, which is fine, but people now will start podcasting with the intent to say, I want to start a podcast, but they're not really sure what they want to do. Where we were like, we saw this gap and we want to create A, B, and C. Like we knew what we wanted to create because we knew what gap needed to be filled.
Very
but
important.
now the podcast world is so saturated. I don't think there's any gaps that need to be filled. So people go, I just know how. I just want to talk, and I mean, no offense, but I can't. I get very snobby about this just because I feel like we have seen it from when there was like 5 podcasts for women in the fitness community, and now there's 500.
Yeah.
So our goal is to stick with what really got us going in the first place, is to always make decisions from that space, and to always make decisions from, is it fun? Is it good for our community? And the second because I've seen podcasts do it wrong. I've seen them start with this awesome vibe, and then they all of a sudden try to sell themselves, and it just immediately turns the energy. So while we do get sponsorships, we always make it just like, well, we don't feel pressure to push anything. We feel like we're supported very well with this podcast and, what we want to do. But I think that's the goal, is to wherever that energy continues to take us is what we want to stick to.
That's awesome. So we're definitely going to jump back into that, because I also have a very, I don't want to say specific, but We'll get back to it in a little bit.
Yes, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Definitely. Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of my thoughts. Okay. So Claire, right back at you. So I'm assuming that the goals are the same, right? If there's anything Joy missed / you want to add, by all means, you can do that. But I want to know, because there's 2 of you, there's only 1 of me. Podcasting is not my specific end goal, right? I'm much more FaceTime. I'm much more YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I want to be the video versus just the audio. But there's 2 of you. How do you guys split up the work when it comes to the podcasting? Are you doing the scripts? Is Joy doing the audio, all of that, editing? How do you guys split that up? And because you guys seem like it's a great thing.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing how perfect the amount of work is so evenly split. Because Claire does all the writing, all the social media, for the most part. She handles all of that because she's really good at that. So the podcast is evenly split into our strengths, as far as the work goes. And I mean, that's just been since day one. We've hit this pattern where we record. I learned how to do all the audio stuff, and it was I kind of had a little bit of a background of how to do some of that stuff. So that was really easy for me to take on. And then Claire did a lot of the website design and managed all of that piece. And so as we hit our flow, it's kind of like clockwork, where I upload the episode, she does all the copy and all the posts about it. And it's just it's pretty, I don't want to say easy, but it's not, we've done it for so long that it's it doesn't require a ton of thought. And it's pretty equally distributed. I mean, aside from both of us wishing we had a photographer to follow us around and take Instagram pictures.
Tell me about it.
That's the hardest part.
Social media is really hard to make it beautiful. What do you
post
about
on Instagram every day?
But original.
There's only so many pictures this of me holding a coffee cup that this world needs to see. It's just not that many.
Yo, Claire, I am so happy you said that. So happy. I mean, I see other people's Instagram pics posting 2, 3 a day. I'm I can't keep up. I cannot keep. It's impossible, right? I'm just not that interesting.
No,
to
right?
be honest.
And there's 2 of us, and between the 2 of us, we're still not that interesting. It's well, Joy's at work. I'm here with the top. It's
exactly.
Our days look the same. That's what's going on.
So you just said that Joy was at work. Claire, do you have an outside? Is podcasting you guys' main income? I don't need to know details, but is it more passion than income, or is it half and half, or is it mainly income and then?
We make almost nothing off the podcast. It kind of it's a project that kind of pays for itself. Any activity that we do around the podcast, we do have some sponsors, and that's fun. But we have a conversation a couple of times a year of what would this look like if this were to be our job? And I think that ultimately we have the the pieces are there if we wanted to flip that on, but it would completely change what this project meant. And it would be, now we're podcasting as a means to an end. Now we have to do it. Now we have to have sponsors. Now,
Yes.
we're monetizing, and like ultimately now we're kind of doing it for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And while I think that it could be, it could be a lot of fun, it also could completely tank and just stop like it
Being
would. I think it
enjoyable.
could just ruin it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And
I
I
hear you
think the
there.
other piece too is I'm kind of waiting for the market to be more supportive of podcasts. I think right now it's getting there. But whether that be networks taking podcasts on or shows taking podcasts on, I think that that's something that's coming in the future. I see it happening already, and a lot of people doing like the YouTube stuff, which we have no interest in doing. But I think eventually there's going to be more support. And not saying that
Yes.
it would become a full-time job, but I do think that there's a space for that. So I'm
Oh,
just kind of waiting
there's
to
always
see what goes
there's
on.
always
Yeah.
a space. Um,
Yeah.
I do think you guys are awesome. I love you guys' Instagram pics. I think you ladies are beautiful. Okay.
How
But
did you find us, by the way? I'm just
oh,
curious
so I love
because you're
CrossFit.
so supportive. Yeah.
So I love CrossFit. So I do my CrossFit, and I'm not even I'm not even training to be a CrossFit athlete. Absolutely not. It's definitely strictly competitive. I miss a three-sport athlete when I was growing up, so I needed that competitive edge when I went to the gym. Just going there and doing bench press did not cut it for me. Found CrossFit, fell in love with CrossFit, and like when I started on Instagram, I'm like the only people I want to see post pictures of them doing workouts because everyone is doing that are people doing CrossFit because I don't know how to do the butterfly yet. I can't do a pistol yet, and I want to see these people do it. So
Yeah.
following all the CrossFit Instagram people, you guys popped up, and I'm like, yes. I was like, yes. So